Foodborne safety is front and center once again in America, spawning a boom in homegrown foods and green organic alternatives. Confidence in an inadequately funded FDA to police food at its source and its ability to manage global input of everything from fish to produce has been undermined by recent challenges to everything from food to heparin to children's toys. Under such circumstances, technology is always viewed as a mixed blessing. A case in point is irradiation of food. On the one hand, it provides a safety net against the import of disease-inducing contaminated food, and on the other, it raises fears and reflects concerns about the hidden dangers associated with mixing science with nature. What are the facts about food irradiation? Keeping our food safe was one of the major reasons the U.S. created the Food and Drug Administration. Early on, it approved and endorsed the use of technology in the form of pasteurization. Pasteurization, as they define it, is, quotes, the critical reduction of pathogens in a substance, especially a liquid, at a temperature and for a period of time that destroys objectionable organisms without major chemical alteration of the substance, close quotes. Irradiation of food does about the same thing, but without the heat. It's been approved by all government agencies as safe and effective and carries identical objectives as pasteurization. The process doesn't make food radioactive or decrease its nutritional content, yet it remains highly controversial and relatively uncommon in the U.S. There are three sources of radiation. Two are electrically generated, X-rays and electron beams. One is the result of radionucleotide sources, mainly cobalt-60. All three generate energy into the food, but none of the three transfer radioactivity. In addition, the American Dietetic Association, after extensive studies, supports the FDA finding that, quotes, irradiation poses no important risk to any nutrient in the diet, close quotes. The concept of irradiating food actually dates back 100 years. In 1904, Alan Green proved that irradiation can inactivate bacteria. 1 year later, J. Appleby took out a patent citing the use of irradiation to improve food quality. In 1918, David Gillette patented the use of irradiation to preserve organic material. And by 1921, the U.S. Department of Agriculture had proved that irradiation could inactivate the parasite causing trichinosis in pork. In 1938, the landmark Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act was passed, and 20 years later, language defining the use of irradiation in food was added. In irradiating food, the dose is calibrated to the need. The measure of radiation used in food is the kilogray. Disinfection of foods to eliminate insects requires less than 1 kilogray. Pasteurization can be accomplished with 1 to 10 kilograys, while sterilization requires greater than 10 kilograys. The FDA's maximum recommended irradiation dosage for decontaminating ground beef is just 4.5 kilograys. The number of kilograys necessary to kill common food pathogens is well known. For example, E. coli requires 0.84 to 0.96 kilograys, and Salmonella 1.98 to 2.22 kilograys. While the incidence of food contamination is quite small, the volume can be quite large. Take the case of ground beef. Studies indicate that only 0.32% of U.S. ground beef is contaminated, but we produce 8 billion pounds of ground beef each year. 0.32% of 8 billion pounds is 26 million pounds of contaminated meat. Only 10% of herbs and spices and a minuscule 0.002% of fruits, vegetables, meat, and poultry in the U.S. are actually irradiated for safety. Where is food irradiation currently being utilized, and how can you tell if the food you buy has been irradiated? Well, according to the CDC, quotes, a facility in Florida has been irradiating strawberries and other fruits on a limited basis to prolong shelf life. On a trial basis, fresh tropical fruits from Hawaii have been irradiated before shipping them to the mainland instead of fumigating them to eliminate fruit fly pests that could spread to the mainland. Some spices for commercial use have been irradiated, and in addition, irradiation is widely used to sterilize a variety of medical and household products, from hip joint replacements to Band-Aids and baby pacifiers. Other technologies used to sterilize fruits, spices, and medical devices use toxic chemicals, such as ethylene oxide, and use of irradiation can reduce the use of these other hazardous substances. A distinctive logo has been developed for use on food packaging in order to identify the product as irradiated. This symbol is called the radura, and it's used internationally to mean that the food in the package has been irradiated. A written description may also be present, such as, quotes, irradiated to destroy harmful microbes, close quotes. Now, will consumers buy irradiated food? Well, the studies in the U.S. say yes, and indicate greater concerns about pesticide residues and microbiological contamination. Willingness to buy is tied to knowledge of the technology and its purpose. Irradiating food is not a cure-all. It doesn't inactivate viruses and toxins, and it doesn't prevent subsequent human contamination. But it does markedly improve food safety, providing an effective critical point of control. In addition, it increases the shelf life of food, which is part of the reason that NASA astronauts and the U.S. military have been dining on irradiated food since 1960. It also decreases the need for use of chemical fumigants, pesticides, and other preservatives. Shelf life and quality are increasingly important in the age of globalization and worldwide food distribution. Expanding food irradiation to ensure food safety makes good public policy and good sense. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention says that irradiating 50% of our red meat and poultry would prevent 900,000 cases of foodborne illness per year in the U.S. and save an estimated 352 lives. The cost? Just 5 cents per pound of meat. Food irradiation for safety has now been approved by the World Health Organization, the European Commission, the Food and Drug Administration, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and NASA. For Health Commentary, I'm Mike McGee.